This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
It has been said that when in the course of human events, an oppression so revolts its subject that it becomes necessary to alter or abolish the means of that tyranny. Is it that time when our Bill of Rights is defiled every day? When our adventures abroad threaten our security at home? When the Federal Reserve keeps our free nation enslaved by debt? When the people of the world tremble under the thumb of corporate imperialism? And now, our nation is drifting dangerously from freedom to fascism. So I have to ask, is it time?
And now, from the luxurious albino raccoon recording studios located in the Midwestern heart of America, it's the last voice for Liberty Network. And here is your host, The Mouth.
Here we are. Greetings and salutations to all my fellow patriots. It is time. The last voice for Liberty Network is back here on the air. I am, of course, your host, The Mouth. Joining me today in the luxurious albino raccoon recording studios is my good and wonderful brother, the HoneyBadger. Russell Waters, how are you, my friend?
Greetings. I am fantastic. I am here in the jacuzzi. We've got a jacuzzi by the microphone, and this is the height of luxury, as he was saying. I'm on a leather couch inside of a jacuzzi, and the leather is treated, so of course the water doesn't cause any issues. And the bubbles are nice. It's great. I've got a brewski in one hand, a hot blonde in the other, who is mute, and we're doing good.
If I start adding carrots and celery, don't pay any attention.
Right. Nothing beats a jacuzzi stew.
Well, my brother, I've got to tell everybody out there, man, I just got back from a nice family vacation. We toured the South, did a lot of great patriots down there, ran into a lot of good people, got me a nice brand new DEA t-shirt, so then maybe the feds will leave me alone a little bit. And, we're going to, we had a great time down there. I'm going to be sharing some pictures and all that other fun stuff for anybody who gives a crap. I have been, however, taking a hiatus from paying attention to the news and politics as per an agreement with my better half. Therefore, we're going to just kick this show running with just some topics off the news that, I came home and was finally able to start reading and doing some things, and one of the ones that I wanted to get to was number one, the assault weapons ban seems to be dead in the water there, HoneyBadger.
Hooray, hooray, hooray.
Hell yeah, the Dianne Feinstein is crying in her diapers and her Depends, rushing out to get her preparation H because she is so butthurt over this entire ordeal. Her whole fight, her entire life, once again, shot down in flames.
Somewhere Ted Nugent has a boner. Yeah, it took a second.
He's got it in a stranglehold, too.
That's right. Down, you beast!
Oh, man! Oh, boy. So, where do you think that this is going to lead the entire gun ban situation? The libs have been pushing hard and hard and hard, especially after the Sandy hoax. False flags,
Sandy hoax,
and they're in Aurora, Colorado. They're pushing really hard about it. Where do you think this is going to lead with this latest defeat of their assault weapons gun grab?
Well, the standard liberal playbook move when defeated is to claim that your message didn't get out there, and so what they're going to do is reiterate their same boring, tired points over and over again ad nauseum, and the lamestream media is going to puppet it and help them and not allow any dissenting opinions to really be out there. So basically what's going to happen is they're going to be like, I don't know why this didn't pass. It's a common sense measure. It would have saved little kids' lives. Everyone's
that's exactly what that dumbass was saying last week. It was, this will save little children's lives. This will save kids' lives.
Get it!
No.
If you want to save kids' lives, ban automobiles. Kids get locked in them and die of heat exposure.
Their parents are texting while they're driving in a big old wreck. automobiles kill way more people, you know, than parents do.
That's the last straw!
You want to save kids, you want to protect kids, maybe sending them to public school is a bad fucking idea, because that seems to be where they're saying, where, you know, everybody seems to be worried about it.
Where common sense goes to die.
And where they happen to be just sitting ducks, apparently, for false... I think this is going to lead to future false flag attacks, and more on a bigger scale.
Absolutely, because the liberals, what they do is, if something doesn't work, they don't say, well, let's give up on this strategy and move to a different strategy. They say, let's put more energy into this strategy. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, the money, more
we
money.
We didn't get our base fired up enough, is what they're after.
We got to do more school shootings or more, you know,
this
whatever.
Baby boomers, 60s radical fucking tactics, which, you know, they used back then, trying to protest the government, and then they became the government.
Right.
And now they think that, well, we'll just continue to use these tactics on a grander scale against the American people. We have all the power now. And we keep getting them to vote us into office indefinitely all the time. We talked them into allowing us to pay ourselves for life and everything else.
Not only that, they've inserted themselves into every place where they can control thoughts and where they can control action. They've inserted themselves into law. They've inserted themselves into schools, especially higher academia, like, for instance, colleges, where they've got tenured positions as lead professors and, you know, different administration roles.
Mm-hmm.
And in public schools, you know, again, you mentioned that a minute ago. Why would anyone want to send their child there? And I understand no one's made of money. However, if there's one investment that's worth, you know, working an extra job for, spending more money for,
perhaps it's going to be the education of your children. But nowadays, with online media and the ability to, like it's been said, you know, everything that you learn in college, just about everything, you can learn online.
Yep.
You know, by yourself.
Yep. You don't get a fancy little degree or a piece of paper or whatever.
Won't get a piece of paper or anything like that, but that's where I think a lot of the country is going wrong, is we're placing, employers especially, are placing too much importance on this little piece of paper. And these kids have never been out in the field, never worked a damn minute.
Did you actually learn anything? No, I know how to repeat shit.
I know how to repeat shit, and I know how to do beer bongs.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what all these kids end up doing in college. And I've seen it 1,000 times. I've never gone to college, but being out in the workforce and working, you know, hard all my life as an uneducated idiot, you know. Right.
Yes, you did!
Out there, and then I see these guys come out of college, and just because they got a piece of paper, they get these higher paying jobs than I do, and they get to sit in an office and do nothing.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they do. They fuck off and they're lost.
Pretty much.
They don't know what's going on. They don't know the logistics of anything that's happening in the business or why things that they have to come down and ask us who down there actually doing the shit how the fuck to do it. And then all of a sudden they go, well, we could do something small like this, and they take credit for it. And these upper guys and the bosses, man, well, that's great.
That's genius. He took something that was centralized and he decentralized it. And 3 months later, hey, this is decentralized, it's centralized.
Yeah, you know, we need
this guy, he earns his pay.
Yeah, he earns his pay. Playing fucking 9 times out of 10, they're playing video games or on Facebook or something silly like that. You know, you're placing too much importance on this piece of paper that really doesn't mean shit.
Right.
Holy shit, motherfucking Yoda and shit.
Why don't you take the guys that are down on the floor who've been working the job this entire time, take them and say, here, let's sit down and you can Google this shit and read about it, learn about it. We'll put it into practice, see how it goes, and bring these guys up through and out. But they don't want to do that. You know, it's just farming them out.
I worked at a printing plant one time, and I had the easiest gravy job ever. Basically, before they had a quality control mechanism built into the printer, I would go out every hour, on the hour, and it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to do this, and collect samples from every one of the rotogravier printers. Or, I guess they're called printers. They're great big freaking things, too. I mean, just huge reams of paper, you know, just vibrating the whole place. And I'd go out, take a sample, I'd look at them under a microscope for a few seconds, write how far off they were, one direction or another, how far the colors were off, etc., and submit that. And then for 45 minutes, I'd sit there and do absolutely nothing, and then I'd go out again and take another sample an hour later. You know, and that was my job. Mm-hmm. And I got to talking with some of the people, and they were like, you know, we've never accused you of working. You know, I'm like, well, I'll be the first to admit that I've got the graviest fucking job in this place. And then we got to talking a little more, and they were like, well, I've been here 30 years. Another one would be like, I've been here 25 years. You know, these people know the insides and outs of every aspect of it. Mm-hmm. But whenever they need new management, they get some 18-year-old or 19-year-old college kid who has zero experience, doesn't know the layout of the plant, doesn't know anything about the printers, but he's got this piece of paper. And boom, he's in there with $20,000 more a year than these guys that have worked there for 30 years.
Exactly.
You know, and
know 10 times more than he does.
And they don't respect him at all. You know, even worse than me with my little cushy gravy job, because at least I admitted I had a little cushy gravy job.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I wasn't saying, oh man, I worked so hard.
Well, you know, I was not.
I did about an hour of work every freaking 8-hour day, you know, basically. And, you know, I love that job, consequently. But it went away. They got quality control built into the presses, and then they did not need me. And that was good for them. And I understood. And I rode that gravy train while I could, and that was good.
Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes, man. You know, with automation and things like that, yeah, people are going to get replaced.
Right.
You know, the more technology advances, then the less there's need for actual work.
Yep.
And that's where the unions are supposed to come in and protect everybody about that. Right. But I don't see a whole lot of talk from the unions about that type of thing coming in. They want the union members being the only ones that are able to learn how to operate this new technology.
Every personal experience I've ever had with a union has never been positive. I mean, they were right up front, you know, with collecting the dues and doing everything they were supposed to do to get their money. But whenever I needed any kind of representation or any kind of defense for a management decision or anything, not only did I hardly ever know who to talk to, when I found the person to talk to, 8 or 9 times out of 10, they sided with the company.
Yeah.
You know, basically their role is to be a pimp, you know, to make sure that nothing drastic happens, like the place doesn't outright kill you or whatever, but other than that, you know, just collect the money and
pay your dues.
Right.
Pay your dues, pay your dues, pay your dues. That's where it, once again, it all boils down. Greed corrupts everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it will do it to you.
Well, just like that little cushy job I had. You know, I knew damn well I wasn't earning that paycheck, but the job was there, and I took it. Mm-hmm. You know, and everyone would. And, you know, you're not going to be like, well, hey, is there anything else I can do during the portion of time where I'm not doing this? You know, number one, there really wasn't anything else that I could have done. But, you know, I almost felt guilty. I'm sitting there listening to music, playing computer solitaire, messing around, and then, you know, 45 minutes goes by, then I go out, take my samples, sit there, look at them for a minute, boom, I'm done. I almost felt guilty about it, you know, because I do have a work ethic, you know, but the point is, it's the job that they gave me, so I took it and I did it. You know?
Exactly.
And, but it's just...
everybody's got to make a living somehow, man. I mean,
right.
you can't shame a guy for doing a job, you know, that somebody wants to legitimately pay him to do.
Exactly.
You know? I mean...
I'd have happily done that job for 5-10 years.
As long as, especially a job like that, you know, that job's not hurting or killing anybody or things like that, you know. That's just really a kind of a gravy-ass, pointless fucking job.
I'm not playing with a joystick commanding a drone to go kill somebody, you know.
But you know what? It put money in your pocket, which in turn did your part in stimulating the economy, because I'm sure you purchased goods and services with it. So therefore, you know, it all works out. It's this great circle of fucking economic life.
Right. We create the marketplace with money from the marketplace. It's just kind of a redisplacement of it all.
Yeah.
You know, you get a job over here to pay someone else to do a job over here. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the American way.
And that's how it keeps going. But then our government decides that they want to keep pumping out and pumping out and pumping out more money.
Yeah.
And that brought me on to another topic, man, that I ran across, was this bill that they're getting ready to try and push through. U.S. citizens who are actually delinquent on their taxes to the IRS can get fired from their job.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That's what they want to push through. It says here the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee approved the proposal entitled Federal Employee Tax Accountability Act of 2013. It's to be voted on by the House of Representatives for consideration to become a law.
Oh, the IRS money.
The idea behind this legislation are an estimated 100,000 federal employees that are behind on their taxes to the tune of $1 billion.
Oh, that's federal employees?
This is for, federal employees.
Oh, good. I'm not one of them. So I do owe a little money to the IRS. God bless them. They're a wonderful entity. And
now how does that strikes me,
well, it's almost like a company store situation.
They're
trying to insert themselves into another aspect of their employees' lives.
No, but how are federal employees who are paid with federal tax money,
right,
not paying taxes?
Well, my guess is they have other sources of income that they're not reporting.
Or how are they not taking it out?
Or from previous, because the federal government doesn't really run credit checks on their employees when you get hired. At least they never have with me. So it's probably one of those oversight situations. These people already owed the money, and then they got their job, and now they're going to be punished for something in the past if they don't get it paid. It's kind of ridiculous because the IRS, the income tax is illegal to begin with.
Oh, of course it is.
That's another subject. It's like on Penn and Keller's show about taxes.
Well, the 16th Amendment was never properly voted on.
They got a congressman, and he was all like, the only legitimate purpose for a tax is to raise money. It's the only legitimate reason for any tax. And he said, so in that vein, 9 out of 10 taxes are illegal because you got taxes that punish people for things like cigarette taxes, alcohol taxes, to punish behavior, things of that nature. And then the IRS itself, the income tax itself, was created to raise funds for a specific purpose, and then it was supposed to go away.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was for a war, but I can't remember. But it was ratified. It was set up initially. It was like, hey, you're Americans. You need to do your part to help.
Originally,
this one prospect.
Abraham Lincoln instituted an income tax in the United States to help recover the cost of the Civil War.
Okay, I knew it had to do something with a war.
Now, then it did go away.
Right.
10 years later, they abolished it. They tried to bring it back another 10 years after that, and the Congress voted it down, shot it all the way down. And then come up 1913. That's then when they established passed the Federal Reserve Act. Then they decided they needed to lay and collect taxes.
So the Federal Reserve kind of was the beginning for a lot of bad things.
And
that was
subsequently what happened? Yeah, and subsequently then what happened? You got the Great Depression and everything else. The only thing that saved us from that was the war.
Right.
And that's the saddest part about that was it was a war that saved us from, going into becoming a third world fucking country.
Right.
Basically, we had destroyed our dollar, we had destroyed our currency, and, we weren't really worth a whole lot.
Anytime the government changes anything fundamentally or increases their scope fundamentally, number one, it never goes away. It either goes away for a minute and comes back and then gets bigger, or it just never goes away and just keeps getting bigger. And number two, it's never a good thing.
Never good.
Never, ever good.
These people could fuck up a wet dream.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're incompetent. They are. I mean, it's more and more evident every time you turn on the news. It's we can't get to this, and we can't do this, and let's pass this fuddy-duddy law, and let's pass this so it looks like we're doing something. No, you're just fucking incompetent.
It's all feel-good shit. And hey, how can I look like I'm doing something for my constituents? I know. I'll try to pass some ridiculous law on guns, or some ridiculous law about soft drinks, or some ridiculous law, anything. Anything you can think of. We'll figure out a way to tax some new thing. Like, people are using soy biodiesel, so now we're going to tax that, People are using solar panels. One day they're going to tax that. It's just whatever they can do to look like they're active, but to never actually address an issue and to allow the issues to keep getting worse and worse and worse. And we keep
and
sitting
all the
back.
tax they keep passing is what? Tax. And
we can't even
it's
get an
how can we
audience with
keep
these
making
people.
more money? No,
It's like they're little kings, you know? They got these fucking narcissistic ego. They think they're little kings over little kingdoms. You know, you can't get a visit with them. If you do get a visit with them, all you're going to get is canned responses. You know, it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets to the point where there's very little options left anymore besides an armed revolution.
Yep. Well, that's what we need to do. We need our armed forces
Yeah.
to come up and step up and say, wait a minute, this is wrong.
Yeah, we're going to have to bring
Storm
you
the Congress, storm, the Senate, take these men and women into custody.
Yep.
And all right, it's time to get it. You guys, it's time to lay it on the line.
because they took an oath to uphold the Constitution, and I don't think any of them even recognize the
You
Constitution.
violate it at every turn. You know, it's the one person that I believe is really standing up and starting to make a difference in
Rand Paul?
Rand Paul. Yeah, and he's, everybody turned on him when he endorsed Romney last year
Yeah.
instead of Ron Paul. Now, I didn't particularly agree with that, but I think it was a strategic move. It's turning out to be more of a strategic move for him to gain a credible foothold in mainstream media, and now all of a sudden they've got to listen to him because everybody else in the country is listening to him, and he's busting out a lot of the libertarian philosophies that basically the core principles that both Republicrats and demagogues can believe in.
Right.
It's the same things that we all fundamentally really agree upon.
Right.
And the mainstream media and the two-party system, or one-party system, as it pretty much is, they have demonized libertarianism like it's, nobody's going to pay for anything.
Well, they've always
There's
got
going to be
this.
no roads. And let me tell you this. I went on the 80-90 tollway today. And that,
What is that private
they
pile?
charge you to drive on this road. It is the shittiest chunk of fucking road that I drove on in the entire United States. I mean, I'm serious.
I have avoided tolls. When I was going to Chicago a couple of times in the past year, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, but I believe it was last year. I went to Chicago twice. And both times, I went around the tollways. I just completely didn't even stop and pay on like 3 or 4 of the 5 available tolls. And I thought I was going to get in big trouble because I even stopped at one of them and paid, and I was like, hey, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm from out of state. I didn't pay at a couple of them back there. What happens? And she's like, well, they get your plate number, and they take a picture of it, and then they send you a bill in the mail. And not only is it the toll that you didn't pay, but there's also like a $20 or $25 per toll fine. So I'm thinking I'm going to get some bill from Illinois for like a couple $100, in the mail, and I never got anything. And but yeah, those roads are not any better. I don't understand the point of tolls.
Yeah.
You would think it would be a perfectly maintained, beautiful piece of road.
Yeah.
Because you're paying extra in effect because the people are already paying road taxes to begin with that live in that state or city or wherever, and then the people passing through are paying the toll also. So
the terrible thing about it is as we're getting on it, I'm like, what? You think it'd be in a toll road, this road would be nicer. And my wife goes, yeah, that's what my mom said. And 20 years ago was the last time her mom made that trip out there.
Yeah. So it hasn't gotten any better.
20 years.
Yeah. And they paid for it over and over and over and over again just with tolls.
Are you kidding me? It's I-80, dude. It's like the main fucking interstate that runs across the entire country.
Yeah.
Everybody
is paying that road. The
amount of money they take in has to be in,
they can put boilers. They can put boilers under the road, and freaking have like solar reflectivity on it, so that they never have to plow it or anything. I mean, they could have like a guy every 5 feet with a broom sweeping up trash off the freaker as much money as they've made.
Oh, dude, you've got to think they make at least $500,000 if they charge every car. Every vehicle, $1. You got to think they're making $500,000.
Oh yeah, I-80 is never slow. I mean, even in crappy weather at 4 in the morning, there's going to be something on I-80.
Yeah.
And just think, most weather days and most driving days are better. And I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of cars every hour, thousands of cars some hours, and trucks, especially trucks.
Yep.
You can't keep trucks off the road. It's just, I don't care if it's blizzarding, while tornadoing, while helling,
Rod knocking diesel.
while there's zombies,
Man.
there could be a zombie apocalypse and semis are still going to be out,
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably one of the most frustrating things ever about it. Is that, they're taking in this giant amount of capital.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to show for it.
Oh, there's something to show. Somebody's got a summer house out of it.
Oh, yeah,
Somebody's skimming off.
Somebody's getting something out of it, and it ain't where it's supposed to be going. They're misappropriating all the funds, no matter what. Every direction they turn.
Every level of government.
Direction.
Every level of government. That's all they do is misappropriate funds, try to act important, try to get reelected.
Mm-hmm. Yep. How can I stay in this cushy lifestyle?
Yeah. And I understand, once you get a good job, you don't want to leave it. Like when that job I was telling you about earlier. I wasn't doing anything, but I was doing, it was an important role because it was quality control, and if something were off, they could adjust things according to what I wrote down. I understand there was some importance to it, but it wasn't really an important job, but it was cushy as hell. I didn't want to leave that job.
Yeah.
When it ended, I was kind of sad. I was like, shit, I could have done this job for 20 years and been happy. I could retire happy from doing 15 minutes of work every hour.
I've had a lot of jobs where I felt I could do
that. I understand these guys, they don't want to get, thrown out, and they don't want to not get elected. I understand that, but whatever happened to statesmanship? Whatever happened to true patriotism? Whatever happened to people who actually care about our country, want to do what's right for our country?
I'm here to serve the American people, and not just to serve your own pockets and serve your own agendas or serve your financial backers' agendas. And there's some I'd like to see. I'd like to see a fully,
so I know whose ass to kick.
A citizen-funded campaign.
Oh yeah.
I'm not taking any money from any.
No matching money.
I'll be right here. I'll volunteer. Any citizen donations you wanted to donate, and I'll run for office, and I'll guarantee you, I'll serve the purposes, the best interests of the American
where
people.
every single penny came from.
I don't want any money from any big corporations, any unions, and any rich motherfuckers want to come, hey, we'll support you legally if you do this. No.
It's not hard to turn down bad money.
Huh?
It's not hard to identify bad money. You can pretty much tell when something looks suspicious and acts suspicious and feels suspicious, it's probably suspicious. Al Gore was terrible when he was everyone thinks, oh, Al Gore's this honest man, and he's great, he's awesome. But he was the biggest, most corrupt. The money he was taking from the Indian reservations, the money he was taking from different business interests, the millions and billions of dollars he personally has made off of all this global warming crap, and by and large it is crap. There might be some truth to some of it, a little bit tiny in some way, but the majority of it's crap just to make money and to make people important. Like so he can get big money for speeches and for his books and his movies, and that man has made so much money off of this, and politics in general. The campaign that he did, he made so much money off of. There's huge money in politics, but it's not hard if you actually legitimately, honestly audit your funds. It's not hard to kick out the bad money. To send someone's check back and be like, I'm sorry, I can't take your money.
No. I cover somebody who took a family of 4 and went 2,400 miles on relatively pennies. For pennies, $2,000 is not a lot of money.
No, not for that big of a trip.
To go on that big of a trip,
with 4 people.
With 4 people driving yourself.
That's genius budgeting right there.
So see, there you go. It can be done.
Yep.
Why do you need $10 million or $2 billion to get a $400,000 a year job, or in states was $30,000, $60,000 a year job, something like that some of these offices in state government carry. Why do you need that much money?
It's all about power. It's all about the ability to leverage your situation and to being able to skim things. And into being able to receive lobbying funds and different, money from different places and from percentages of this and percentages of that. It's all about money and power. And you can get the money if you have the power. You can get more power if you have the power. Eventually, it's just a great big juggernaut of greed. You know, these people, I mean, they always talk about, like, big oil or big tobacco. What about big government? You know, they never say that. You never hear Dianne Feinstein up there saying, man, I'll tell you what, we sure are abusing our people.
Yep.
You know, you'll never.
We're taking advantage of what the American people are putting us here to do.
Right.
We're here serving ourselves. Good Lord, what is the matter with us?
Yeah.
You're never going to hear that come out of the majority.
We should be ashamed
of
of ourselves. And you know what? I'm going to give this raise back.
Last person that actively said that out of the floor was Ron Paul.
Yep.
He said we should be ashamed of ourselves for what we have done today. He said that to the House on many occasions.
There's
we should be ashamed of
something in the Paul DNA where, for some reason, they're forthright, ethical, moral people. And I don't know.
Well, why is that? Why is that become such a scarcity in this country, man?
Well,
I mean, really, whatever happened to being a good person?
It's hedonism.
It is.
It's whatever feels good to me, whatever I can benefit from. That's what I'll do.
You know,
an absolute.
It goes back in time, man. Doesn't God smite motherfuckers for that shit?
Oh, he used to.
You know?
God's been kind of quiet. I've seen a lot of good people.
Oh, a lot of good people, man, and start taking everybody out and trying to wipe it all out of the whole experiment, because there are still a lot of good people out there, and these few, that's where I think
kind of like Noah.
We need to stand. We need to make a stand.
Kind of like Noah. You know, think about it. It's like everyone. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah in Congress, in the House, or the Senate, or you know, the whole government. You know, including the executive, judicial, legislative, everything. It's all corrupt. And then you got one guy. He's like, hey, remember this piece of paper, the Constitution? Remember that? Remember that oath we took that we would uphold this and defend it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm still trying to do that, folks. How come you're not with me?
You know,
punch out on the road, you know, with these animals and me. You know,
and they don't want to.
No.
They just act like it's some big joke.
It is.
You know,
it is to them.
I can't get it out of my head just how sickening.
Oh, yeah.
It is horrible. It's not.
It is disgusting.
You know, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back here on the last voice of Liberty Network.
My government's never lied to me, have they? Let's see, where should we start? This event that changed our entire history of our country, why aren't we allowed to discuss it? Why aren't we allowed to ask questions? The moment you do, you get a reaction like he gave me. How dare you? How dare you question your government?
Government encroaching into every aspect of your life. Wake up. Damn right we're a threat. We're a threat to anyone that endangers our rights and the Constitution of this republic. Those who expect the blessings of freedom must be willing to stand up and fight for it. The only real threats to this country are also created by the very government that's supposed to protect us.
Today, really, in many respects, our government is the one that is stepping aside the rule of law.
And the most fundamental problem we have in America is that it is no longer a free country. And it is fast becoming the a totalitarian state.
As many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
Because I'm sick and tired of what's happening to my country. They don't want us free. They want us controlled, like puppets.
A new world order, a world where the rule of law governs the conduct of nations.
You will. He does know the math here, and so does my next guest, Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who argues that, look, you can race to get a deal done, but if it's a bad deal, and maybe to that point, Senator, a deal heavily weighted on tax hikes, you would not be for that, and it would cause more harm than good.
Well, I have to preface this by saying my kids saw you as superhero, and they thought maybe your mom thought you were special or something, but
That's
they weren't worried about
Boy,
this. They were kind of worried about
the entire anchor. I think that's a genuine reflection of who I am, but
I'm sure your mom thinks you're special.
All right. So you think what isn't special is the way they're going about this process, and that in the end, you would not vote for what you...
Well, my worry is you know, it's not as simple as are you for your country or are you against your country. I'm obviously for the country. I want the country to succeed. I want there to be economic growth. I want there to be more jobs. But I think we'll get the opposite. So if I thought raising taxes were going to be good for the economy, I would say do it. But I think it'll be the opposite. You raise tax rates, you may get less revenue and less economic growth. There's historical example after historical example of actually lowering tax rates, getting more revenue, and incidentally, the rich pay more of the income sometimes when you give them level rates.
Senator, I'm sorry, sir, but does that mean that anything with revenues in it, whether it's closing deductions, loopholes, or the rates more extreme, you would be against?
I want to stimulate the economy, and the only way I know of to stimulate the economy is to leave more money in the economy. I can't understand it any different than if I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and I want Louisville to succeed, I want more money to stay in Louisville. I've seen the way these guys spend the money up here. They're not responsible with your money. They haven't earned my trust, and I don't think they deserve to have any more of my money. I mean, as long as we're spending $3 million to study what monkeys do when they're on methamphetamine, that means we haven't started cutting up here.
So the monkeys are enjoying it. How do you think this ultimately goes? I barely understand the labyrinth of procedures and votes and how you get bills to the floor, et cetera. But the feeling seems to be, whatever you're for or against, Senator, that by Friday you have to have something, or both sides have to have something, or you're not going to make the deadline for a vote and ultimate signature by the president.
If they surprise me and they call me up tonight and say, what should we do? Here's what we should do. We should tomorrow in the House vote for what we believe in. Keeping the Bush tax rates as they are.
For everybody.
Permanently. And cutting spending. Significant cuts in spending and reform entitlements. I have a bill that saves Social Security and saves Medicare by reforming them. Let's pass some of those bills, and then when the Democrats won't accept it, then let's vote present and let them raise the taxes in the House. Comes to the Senate, Republican senators vote no, and it becomes like Obamacare, a Democrat juggernaut. They get what they want, but it'll be bad for the economy, and their fingerprints will be on it, but ours won't. Because it's not what we
say, not that you focus on these, the polls say it'll be Republicans' fingerprints on it. Do you buy that?
It depends on what happens. If the Republicans all decide to vote for raising the taxes half as much as Obama wants, and we still have a tax increase, and Republicans are for it, it kind of ruins what we stand for, because what we stand for is limited government and less taxation. So I think if we go halfway or we split the difference with him, I think then both parties have their hands on it. When we go into recession, it'll be confusing. But I want to be the party of lower taxes and of limited government. And I think if we go halfway or become President Obama light or Democrat light, I don't think that's what I want to stand for. It's not why I ran for office.
Hey, Star Wars fans. I'm actor Billy D. Williams, but you know me better as Lando Calrissian. Seriously, Star Wars has been pretty darn good to me, but I've got something in my life right now that's treating me a whole lot better. I'm talking, of course, about the fantastic world of exotic massage. Now, whoa. I know what you're thinking. Thinking, Lando, are you talking about what I think you're talking about? I sure am. It's fantastic. You get all the benefits of a regular therapeutic massage, plus you get to have your pancake flipped. Oh, Emmy, that's great. Now I'm hooked.
Welcome back, folks, to The Last Voice for Liberty Network. I am, of course, your host, The Mouth, laughing and scratching, sitting here with my great friend, Russell Waters, a.k.a. the HoneyBadger. Hey-o! Hey! Folks, a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, Aaron Lee, everybody calls him Ogre. He's a bass player for the band Cirrus Minor. I know I played him on the show before. He's a great guy. Ruined my day the other day. Telling me the story of 2 girls and 1 cup. I ruined the HoneyBadger's day with it earlier today. Yep. And so now I'm going to ruin everybody else's. And if you haven't heard it, it's this video.
It's a charming story of two women in love.
These 2 girls take a cup and put it on the table and then start shitting into it and eating the shit and then throwing the shit up into each other's mouths and faces. And it's absolutely whatsoever.
And at some point, God bless them, they're covered in fecal matter and vomit, and they're getting their snack on.
It makes me feel very. Well, I'll get a little sick talking about it.
It's it's palpable. You can smell it now. You can think about it. You can feel it oozing and squishing and
like a salsa ice cream,
like having shitty salsa.
Oh God!
It's the best video ever. I've never seen it either. I've heard about it. And that's probably enough for me. Not having to have seen it physically because I don't.
You know what the one thing that bothers me most about this is that song that I played for you.
Yes.
It came on my phone while we were on vacation.
Did it make it all sticky?
Yeah. My son goes, man, some girl was watching that video in my 7th grade science class. And I didn't even, the song was just playing. I was laughing.
I remember Stewie Griffin was talking about it. He's like, imagine if 2 guys did that. Maybe they should do 2 guys. I wonder what if 2 guys did that.
I was thinking it'd just turn out shitty either way. But you know, that's just me.
What happened? I had a shitty time.
So in other words, we had to ruin your day with that
one. Like a gallon. 3 or 4 toothbrushes and a gallon of mouthwash after that date. You went out with Carol last night. I had a shitty time. We both ended up throwing up. Would you get bad food? Well, you could say that.
One cup of one cup. Oh my goodness.
The crapapalooza.
They called us the aristocrats.
Oh God, that's terrible. That's I love Gilbert Gottfried's version the best. I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely. It made I played that for my oldest boy. It made him sick.
Really?
Yeah, he literally had to get up and go. He uked into the garbage can.
That's fantastic.
He's like, that's the most horrible thing I've ever
I was too busy
heard.
laughing to puke, but puking was a second option. It was on the table.
Well, we fully declassed the show. You know, we had some great.
We should probably mention before we did all that if you have small children listening, or if you're in church or something listening to this, I want to turn it down just a touch for a minute. We suck. Sorry.
We've totally taken this show right down to the bottom.
We drove that jet into the ground. Pennsylvania field. That's what happened. Too soon?
A guy sent me a picture the other day. I'm not quite sure. I've been trying to track down where the location of where these pictures were taken.
Right.
But they are missiles.
Oh.
Painted like American Airlines jets.
No shit.
No shit.
Well, that's
no shit.
That's scary stuff.
It's a joke.
Well, you know, I've always been the guy who, whenever I hear people say, well, it was manufactured, it was set up, the government did it, blah, 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 I was always like, really? You know, you're going to say that? I mean, it's like the Holocaust thing. I mean, we got video footage and whatever, and people are still like, well, that never happened. But, you know, there's a lot of clever things people can do to make things look one way when they're totally a different way. Mm. And our government is an expert at that shit. So if anyone could pull off something on that big of a level, it would be the U.S. government, or any government that's got any amount of money behind it. You know,
there's too many coincidences in it all, and too much shit just does not add up. Okay?
Well, I'll tell you what doesn't.
Jet airliners are crashed into trees,
right,
and burned,
right,
and have not burned the tree to the ground.
Right, and
okay, now jet fuel cannot burn hot enough to melt steel, or else it would melt out of the fucking engine.
You got a valid point.
Oh, it's right. I mean,
and another thing,
that's what engines do: is heat up the fuel, burn the fuel to run.
When the plane hit the Pentagon, or the missile.
Oh, the missile! There ain't no way in hell that plane hit that.
There are not telephone poles, light poles in the parking lot, leading up to where the plane hit.
Mm-hmm.
And for a plane to get low enough to hit the wall at the angle that it supposedly hit that wall, it would have had to clip several of these light poles on its way in.
Even if it went down.
Right.
And which it didn't have any fucking landing gear on it.
Right.
The tail of the airplane would still be tall enough to take out the entire top of the wall.
Right.
That top of the wall stayed intact for 30 minutes.
Exactly. So we're missing light poles, and we're making a hole in the wall that's not tall enough to have been made by that vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that one, if nothing else, was a missile or a rocket or
exactly.
something.
$3 trillion goes missing from the Department of Defense the day before, and then all of a sudden World Trade Center building number 7, which happens to hold all the records that can lead to the paper trail to where it would go, falls. Nothing hits it. It just poof.
So,
oops.
Just
it fell because it was scared.
With the Sandy Hook thing, it's where are the witnesses? Where are the survivors?
Where's the surveillance video?
Where's the footage? Why are there 14 different conflicting things happening in the media versus what the police were saying on the scanners?
I see some other friends, a part of the Alternative Journalism Coalition that I'm with on Facebook. They posted up a guy just happened to be driving home.
Yeah.
And decided that, he was going to stop by there and take a look around, see what he could see.
Right.
And so there were surveillance cameras up, but in some of the pictures of the same spots during the school, they weren't there. Now, at the beginning of the year, the school itself actually sent out memos to the parents saying that they were going to institute a video surveillance at the school.
Right.
So there's got to be footage somewhere of what actually happened.
I'm sure there is.
But they've sealed the records.
Yeah.
Now, but like I said, if it wasn't a false flag attack, if it was really what happened, why would they seal the records?
And the government's good at telling us, well, if you've got nothing to hide, what are you worried about? You know, like whenever we say, well, we don't want our phones surveilled, or we don't want our computer activity surveilled, or we don't want us surveilled.
Yeah.
They're always like,
got something to hide.
If you've got nothing to hide, why are you worried about it? Well, okay, then why are you sealing your records? Why are you making
hiding
people
things
be quiet?
from the United States? Yeah.
You know?
Why are you hiding things from the United States?
What do you have to hide?
You know, what happened with Fast and Furious, Mr. President?
Yeah, what happened with Benghazi?
Yeah. What happened there? How come we can't talk to the survivors of Benghazi?
How come SEAL Team 6 is disappearing at a rapid rate?
And SEAL Team 6, which was, what do you call them, Cheney's private hit squad back in the day, and then when it came time to take credit for killing Bin Laden, supposedly killing Bin Laden, and I put SEAL Team 6 together to go get Bin Laden.
Yeah. Well,
what are you talking about?
Obama has repeatedly said, I got Bin Laden, I got Bin Laden, I killed Bin Laden. Well, no, number one, it was all in place already.
He died in 2002.
It's already true. And they're all like, there's no body. We disposed of the body in a proper way. You know, we buried it at sea after praying over it.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know, it's just one
we
thing.
We didn't want to offend any Muslims. This guy supposedly masterminded and killed 3,000 people, but we don't want to offend any Muslims by not burying him properly. He should have brought his body out and paraded it across the country.
Use it as a fucking pinata.
Letting people beat upon it until there's nothing left.
At least the survivors, or the survivors' families.
But of course not. They're not going to do that because that wasn't true. It wasn't him.
Well, yeah.
That's why all these guys, the SEAL Team 6 members, are disappearing, because it wasn't him. They don't want him fucking talking.
Yep.
Don't go out and tell the American public the truth that this guy isn't Osama bin Laden. Because we've been playing the fact that he's been alive for years and years.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, he was our CIA buddy back in the 80s when we were trying to, out-muscle the Russians for Afghanistan poppy field control. But,
Right. It's all about money. It's all about drugs. It's all about control.
It is. Why do you think we went over to Afghanistan? Because the Taliban had cut all the poppy fields.
Right.
It was like,
we can't have that.
Poppy. Nope, can't have that. Guess where most of our troops are over there guarding and protecting now?
Poppy fields. Opium, heroin, all that good stuff.
Yep. The poppy fields.
And yet they'll throw you in prison for having weed.
Yep.
They're the biggest drug dealers in the fucking world. And they'll throw a man in prison for having weed.
Exactly.
They're the biggest gun dealers in the world, and they'll throw a man in prison for having guns. And God forbid you have guns and weed in your same fucking house.
It's going even beyond that. It's beyond just guns and weed. It's getting to where everything that you do is a crime.
Everything.
Everything that could possibly be construed as being especially if you disagree with the government. It's becoming more and more.
Or if you just question it, you don't even have to have an opinion at all.
Yep.
If you ask the wrong questions of the wrong people at the wrong time,
yep.
You just want to know something. Hey, I just want to learn. What was your rationale behind this? Why were you doing this? Where did this come from? And, well, I'm sorry, Mr. HoneyBadger, you're asking way too many questions. We're going to have to detain you as a terrorist.
They're pushing us towards war.
Yep, because it's going to have to be. Eventually people are going to be like, you know what, fuck this.
Yep.
We've tried writing letters. We've tried stopping by. We've tried putting out blogs. We've tried putting out
petitions,
videos. There's nothing left to do. I saw on Facebook the other day, it said our founding fathers would be shooting by now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true.
Fathers would be ashamed of what we're putting up.
Exactly. They're rolling in their graves. They're like, really, people? Just how much more shit are you going to take? Just how much more are you going to get buried with this?
Exactly.
Crap?
We went. They left England for shit like this.
Right. And it's so much worse now. The only difference is it's our government doing it instead of some foreign government.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only difference. We're getting taxed without representation. We're getting controlled in every possible measure and way. We're not getting the ability to even talk to these people. It's like they're little kings. I mean, we don't have a king. We have like 400 kings.
Yeah.
We have
535.
535 kings.
Mm-hmm. 9 Supreme Court justices, 1 president, 100 Senate members, and 435 fucking Congressman.
Yep, and a friend of mine said that if we were actually doing things according to the Constitution, we'd have several thousand representatives. Because I guess it's based on population and blah, blah, blah.
It's supposed to be.
So we should have a lot more people than we do. Now, granted, I don't know where all that office space is going to come from, but then again,
let's see. Maybe if every senator actually did his own homework and read his own fucking bills, he wouldn't need a 25 to 30 person staff.
Exactly,
you know?
And he wouldn't need to have an office in D.C.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. Here's something my father came up with. You know, my father, who's laying on his deathbed and could give two shits less about computers and technology, even recognizes the fact, can't they video conference?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, and then just meet in Washington for things that are integral to national defense, and then they can go back where their constituents are and hear what their people want to say instead of being so far removed.
Say what you will about Grassley, but every single year he visits all 99 of his counties. And he makes himself accessible. He might not be...
He is very accessible. I've had a couple conversations with him via email.
Right, exactly. So
he doesn't...
He may not be perfect.
He doesn't listen to what I'm saying.
He may not be perfect. He may not agree with you. He may not answer a question.
He's part of the Republican establishment.
He's still establishment.
You know, he's straight up part of the establishment. That's why he's been in the same seat for, years and years and years and years. Because he rolls along with them.
But at least he's accessible. He's got one thing right. Yeah. And if everyone...
But I don't know, does that almost make him worse in my eyes, Yeah, you're accessible, but you don't listen.
He's a liar that'll lie to your face rather than the liar that'll lie to you from Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
I get that. I'm not a big fan of the Republican Party anymore. I used to be super Republican, and now I'm just like, really? You've sold us out on every single level.
Yeah.
You've never been conservative enough. You've been too conservative on some things. Like, you know what? We can't afford shit, and we're worried about gay marriage. That should be the bottom of the list. I'm not saying it shouldn't be on the list. If they really believe passionately about it, whatever, they should have it on their list. But my point is, it should be at the bottom of the list, after getting rid of all this ridiculous spending, all the ridiculous taxes, all this the small government we supposedly want.
As far as them and their whole anti-gay marriage stance, and being against the Bible and blah blah blah.
We're ruled by the Constitution, not the Bible.
Exactly, but the Constitution was heavily influenced by religion,
right?
And it just seems to me that we're all, if you're going to follow along with your religion, in the end, God is the one that does the judging, right?
Right.
What does it matter if people get married?
As far as I understand, and I could be wrong, but the responsibility of a human being, according to the Bible, is to love and have faith in Jesus, and accept Him as their Savior, and to understand that He died for you, blah, blah, blah. And, believe in God, and to try to do the very best that you can do to adhere to these principles and laws, because none of us will be able to, because we're all imperfect and we're all flawed. Okay, and the second thing is it says to witness to others, so we're supposed to mention, like, hey, mouth, God loves you, Jesus died for you, you might want to rethink a few things. And, okay, thanks. But not to cast judgment and to say this person's going to hell and that person's going to... The only person who can decide who's going to hell and who God loves or doesn't love and whatever is ultimately God.
Exactly.
I may disagree with your behavior. I may not think, having gay sex with your buddy in a stairwell some drunken Tuesday night is a great thing, but who am I to judge?
And that boils down to the basic principles of liberty. Is you got to let the individual has the God-given right of free will and choice.
Which means the right to fuck up too.
Yeah, you can choose to be a complete moron,
right?
But it's an absolute valid choice you can make.
Yeah.
It's not a good one,
right? And I mean, I understand.
But that's the theory. That's that's the reality behind the freedom of choice is that you don't always make the right choice.
Exactly, and you're not going to. Everyone's not going to make the same. And wouldn't that be boring as hell? If everyone was always on the same page and always doing the same thing and always in agreement, that would make for. I mean, we don't want to kill ourselves after.
Oh, it'd drive me crazy.
Like, oh yeah, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. You're right.
It'd drive me crazy. I'd argue with people just to argue.
Yeah. I mean,
you
sometimes
say
you got
the
to.
sky is blue. No, it's not.
You got to vent. I mean, at the very least, you got to be able to vent about something. And if everyone's going to agree with you, how are you going to vent?
Exactly.
You know? I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's the beauty of life, man, is that everybody's different.
Yes.
And that's where people can't get past their petty differences to realize what many similarities all of us as human beings have.
Number one, we're all Americans.
And religion is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Organized religion is the biggest scam.
It's like government.
Well, it's even worse than government.
Yeah, it's a control mechanism. Now, I understand that it's important to feel that you're a part of a community and to do things as a group and to be social and things like that and to be around like-minded people.
You can do that, and you don't need to center it around faith and the worship of God. Your relationship with God is a personal thing between you and God. You know, no matter what anybody else says to you, throughout your entire life, the only time that you're ever going to have a relationship with God is if you have a relationship with God yourself.
Right.
No one else can do it for you. No matter how many people that, have a relationship with God surround you, it's not going to happen to you unless you're ready and willing and able to accept it to happen to you. Right. I have to say, during this my entire lifetime, I've asked God for, help me with this and help me with that, and prayed, and then many times come up with, short end of the stick, and had a hardcore grudge against my Creator for years and years and years. Before I went on this trip, I decided I'd try it one more time. I asked, just protect me and my family on this trip, and, guide the other people on the road as well, to not let them act hastily to cause things that would happen, to any of us. The whole trip went fine. As I was leaving Dayton, Ohio, we're driving down the highway, and on the side of the hill is the shadow of a cross. Nothing around that could possibly make the shadow. I'm looking all over, because I noticed it right there.
Wow.
Nothing around to make the shadow.
Did everyone see it?
No.
Just you, or just your car?
Just me.
Just you?
I couldn't get my camera out in time to take a picture, but it was just me.
Yeah.
And,
sometimes,
I just let us make it home safe, without any hassles, any problems, things like that. That's all I ask, and he was, I really, this is about the closest thing to a religious experience I've ever had in my entire life.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, if you think about it, he was probably saying, hey, Lee, look here, buddy.
Hey, I'm watching out for you, and I felt a lot better after that. I really did, and it was kind of an amazing thing for me and myself. But I think I finally made my peace with the big guy, It's been a long time coming, been pretty hard to do.
Right.
But,
it's a complex relationship.
And then, maybe it wasn't 5 minutes after we pulled onto, right when we pulled onto East 14th, then it started to snow. It could have started at any point in time. The roads could have got worse. Things could have got bad, But, it didn't. It's like, I kind of think that, he might have been watching out for us. I'm not going to run and get up early in the morning and go to church tomorrow or be in church every other day. That ain't the way.
Right.
But, yeah, I always did believe in God, and I always had a grudge against him.
I started this new job.
Made our peace.
I started this new job in Newton, and been driving from Des Moines to Newton every single day.
I was never so happy to see Newton city limits.
And, that's a 40-minute trip, roughly, and you're taking I-80, and I-80 is maintained pretty well, usually, but it's not constant, obviously. If you're having a blizzard or a storm or whatever, there's going to be times where it's just terrible. And for some reason, since I started this job, there have been so many storms that just made that road damn near impassable. So where I'm crawling along at like literally 20 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour in a freaking 70. Can't even see my lane half the time. Getting blown around, sliding around, you know, and meanwhile semis are passing me at 70, 75. I don't get that. You know, they apparently just don't care because they have to see what's going on. You know, I'm not a wuss. I've done millions of miles of driving. I used to deliver pizza for years, and sometimes it was the exclusive job. You know, and I was scared to go a couple of times. You know, I was just like, man, I really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I had to because you're in a probationary period of your job where if you miss a day, ostensibly you can be fired. You know, just we'll see you later. You're not reliable. We'll get someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I had to do it. And I'm going in the evening, like 5:30 in the evening till like 2 in the morning. So usually the storm has just started and gotten going pretty good when I'm on my way to work.
Yeah.
And then after work, it's dark, it's colder, it's windier, and it's probably still snowing. So, you know, I'm heading back. And I'm just saying, you know, I developed kind of a closeness with God, too, about that. I was just like, you know, I know I'm not perfect. I screw up all the time. You know, I've sinned against you. I've sinned against others. I've hurt people. You know, I'm a human, okay? But please forgive, you know, me. Please be with me. Please keep me safe. And I don't have the best car in the world. I don't have, I'm not necessarily the best driver. I mean, I know how to drive pretty well, but some of these things you can't really drive around. You know, you just got to go with them. You know, ice, for one thing, is a force that pretty much is luck. You know?
Yeah, there's a little bit of skill driving.
Right. You can be the best driver in the world, though, and still end up backwards or, you know, head into a ditch or whatever. You know,
being careful.
If you know how to get out of it, you know, or whatever. Because, like I said, I have a lot of experience, and I know how to turn with it and how to, you know, when to accelerate, when to brake, whatever. But the point is, I got a little closer myself just on, you know, on that. So I know exactly how you feel about that crossing. That crossing is pretty damn neat.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm telling you what, man, it really, I don't know, just kind of
made you feel like you were being looked after.
Yeah, and I never felt that my entire life.
I haven't forgot about you. I just haven't been around.
I just, you know? Yeah, it's kind of like, well, really, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, that's awesome.
Hey, we got back here in one piece, and that's you know what made it important to me.
Right.
And made me kind of go, okay, we can set aside our differences. You know, that's all I really want. Is just, you know, that's all really anybody wants is kind of an acknowledgement. You know,
at the end of the day, we're all in the same exact boat. You know, we all live in America. I mean, not everyone in the world, obviously, but the people who are more inclined to listen to the show, we all live in America. We're all governed by the Constitution, you know, and by the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Constitution. And we're all brothers and sisters, really. You know, whether we're Christian or whether we're Muslim or whether we're Jewish, you know, whatever. 47 different kinds of Christian. You know, maybe you're a Buddhist, maybe you're one of them Rasta people who believes in weed. You know, whoever you are, at the end of the day, we're all in the same exact country, same position, same boat. You know, we're dealing with the same leadership. And we've got to get together because, you know, we all have differences with each other. Like, I don't like gay people, or I don't like single parents, or I don't like people who don't pay taxes. I don't like people who do pay taxes. I don't like people who, you know, hire lawyers. I don't like people who are lawyers. I don't like...
You need to get past that.
You know, anti-gun people.
We need to get past that as a people. We just need to get past... Look, just live and let live, man.
We just need to get together and be like, you know what? All of our differences are minor and petty. You know, I may not like guns, but I just won't have them in my house. I may not like weed, well, I just won't smoke it. You know, but we have to be together on the ability to have guns, or the ability to have weed, or the ability to have free speech, or the ability to live without feeling like everything you do is going to be taxed or regulated,
or be a crime,
or a crime,
get in trouble for it.
Right. You know,
especially when it comes down to stuff like weed, man. I mean, it's a medicine. People are using it for medicine. I know a lot of people out there use it for recreational relaxation. I mean, they could be. They're finally suggesting it about treating post-traumatic stress disorder with it.
I have a friend who does that. I have a friend who has post-traumatic stress disorder. I have another friend who has multiple sclerosis. He's kind of a dick. He's kind of on my shit list, but he's still my friend. And he's got multiple sclerosis. He uses weed exclusively for that. You know, and you know, I've got another friend who's got PTSD. I've got another friend who had a bunch of addictions to like heroin, cocaine, harder drugs, and he quit those and funneled his addiction basically into weed. You know, so he's not doing the harmful, destructive drugs that make him into a psychotic person. You know, he's doing the one drug. You know,
marijuana's not a drug.
Marijuana is.
I refuse to call a plant a drug.
Well, I agree with you, but my point is, he's funneled his addictions into one thing. You know,
but and people, especially with an addicted personality, you know, I did all those drugs myself. Yeah. I had a real hard time getting away from it. You know, when I was younger, but hey,
weed kind of saved you.
Lots of beer,
lots of beer. You know, I've heard that so many times. Weed saved my life.
Right.
You know, I've heard that. You know, in a literal sense, like if you have cancer or if you have some sort of issue where you don't have appetite or where you can't sleep or have headaches or whatever, you know, it'll actually do things for you. But also in another sense where it'll funnel your addictions, you can funnel your addictions into it or whatever, or you can just use it recreationally instead of something more harmful. Like I would argue alcohol, by and large, is more harmful.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Everything impairs you. Weed impairs you, you know.
Definitely.
But nothing quite impairs like alcohol. You know, so a lot of people is like they'll have a joint instead of like a 12-pack. You know, and I could see that being the better of the two choices. You know, and I'm not. Again, it's not perfect either. It's got its flaws or whatever. But the point is, everyone needs to get together, stop judging each other, and start looking at where the blame actually should be, which is those 500 and how many people?
545.
545 people that we should be pointing our fingers at, not the other 290 million of us.
You know, our founding fathers fought an entire revolution to get us away from single rulers, but we keep electing the same people and the same members of the families over and over again. You know, the Kennedys, the Bushes, the Clintons.
I've even heard of people willing their seats to somebody.
Yeah.
And like a woman got a seat after her husband died or something. You know, just ridiculous stuff like that. And the Bushes, the dynasties that we have, you know, they may be the greatest people on earth or whatever. They may actually love the country and want to do the best for the country, but still, that's not
what they're doing. That's not what any of the previous Bushes that have been in office.
It doesn't matter if you're the greatest guy on earth. When you lose your office, there's supposed to be a process to where we elect a new person. You can't just say, well, hey, I'm leaving my office. I want the mouth to have my seat. Well, that's great. You can want whatever you want, but it's whatever your constituents want that's supposed to be what matters. You know, and these people...
That's what you're there for. You're supposed to be serving the public.
Right.
That's who your constituents are.
And they're so arrogant. They think that I'm in control here. It's just going to happen exactly the way I want it to. Well, no.
Yeah, it's like you people should be bowing down to us and doing what we tell you to do. Fuck you, pal.
Yeah.
And you got the fucking game messed up, man. Y'all fucked up.
Double fuck you with 9 penises.
That's right. And a squirrel one, too. Folks, we're going to take one more quick break, and we will be back here on The Last Voice. Shut up!
This guy gave me a story out in Los Angeles. He goes, Sam, this is the sickest, the darkest, most horrifying story I've ever read, and it's true. It's a story about homosexual necrophiliacs that were in the Los Angeles area. This is true, man. I couldn't make this up. It's too sick. I swear to God, you wouldn't think of this shit. Somebody had to actually do it for it to fucking happen. Oh, man. These guys were going around to mortuaries and morgues, offering money to be able to come in, be left alone, undisturbed, for a couple hours with the freshest male corpse. Oh, yeah, this guy told me this. He said, Sam, this is a very sick story. And it's, there's no jokes in it, and there's no way to make it funny. I said, give the story to me. Give it here. Give the story to me. Oh, yeah, and I read it, and I felt sorry for the corpses. I did. I felt sorry for these guys, because you know they lived their fucking life out. You know? They lived their whole life out. They went up through their ups and downs, happiness, their disappointments. And then they faced death, which none of us know a fucking thing about. It scares the shit out of everybody. Nobody talks about it. You don't joke about it. But you figure after you faced it, you know, after you actually faced death, you know, there'd be like a peace that would settle over you. You go, well, fuck it, I faced death. It's over now. I can just, you know, kick back and whatever happens, happens. That's why I felt sorry for these guys, because you know they were on slabs. They're on slabs, and they're laying there going, well, life was tough. But at least I was able to live it out, and I was able to face death and not be afraid. And well, now I'm ready to go to heaven and be with Jesus. And hey, what's this? Oh God, it feels like a man's dick in my ass. Oh God, I did. Oh, you mean life keeps on fucking even after you're dead? Oh, it never ends. Oh.
To me so gracefully, took my crown of thorns. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Too much for granted, I got my signals crossed. Just to think that it all began on a long forgotten morn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. Well, the deputy walks on hard nails, the preacher rides him out. But nothing really matters much, it's doom alone that counts. And the one-eyed undertaker, he blows a futile horn. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm.
You were able to make you smack yourself in the fucking head.
And welcome back, folks, here in our final segment on the Last Voice for Liberty Network. I am, of course, your host, The Mouth, sitting in with my great friend, Russell Waters, the HoneyBadger. Yo, 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 yo. Been so long since I've had you in the studio here, my friend. It is wonderful to have you back.
Well, I'm glad to be back, and I'm not as happy about the hiatus, but you know, I've been going through some emotional situations, some legal situations, and haven't been exactly the same HoneyBadger that everyone knows and loves, and it wouldn't have probably gone as well. Well, I probably could have faked through it or whatever, but my heart wasn't in it, my mind wasn't in it, and I've been so distracted by everything else.
Brother, sometimes you just got to take a minute for yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, how can you expect to take care or help anyone else? You know? And if your heart's not right there to get it out, and you're not in the right place at the right time, man, you just don't do it half-hearted.
Heavily distracted.
I never would want you to come and just kind of zombie your way through a show with me or anything like that, you know, especially I know a lot of the things that you've had to deal with, so, right, therefore, you know,
and I'm still doing
I hold no malice towards you for that. I always enjoy the time that we get to spend together.
Me too. Me too, on and off here.
Exactly. We're back here tonight, folks. It's been a long time since I've been on. I haven't put up a show since I think the 19th of February or something like that. I can't even remember the last time. I had to take a nice, good chunk of time off to you know, take care of some shit that I had to take care of. And it's brought me back a little bit refreshed. I'm ready to go. I'm raring to go. There's going to be more shows. We're looking to branch out farther and getting into on other media sources and more along with promoting other sites and other shows and things like that, such as our friends Austin Thomas and Liberty Leeson, Freedomizer, and you know, you've got to get out there and start networking. And the more we all work together, the farther along the message of liberty is going to go. Word. And if we don't work together, we're going to be sitting here in another 4 years, all of us under house arrest.
Yep. Or in some sort of facility somewhere.
Yeah. And none of us want that.
Nope.
So, Russell Burt.
Yes, sir.
We've acknowledged that they're pushing us towards war. There are some good news, some good things that are out on the horizon, that there are still good members of the establishment out there, such as a Michigan sheriff who's out there actually deputizing citizens.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Deputizing and arming citizens in order to be ready for the inevitable, he believes, and I believe as well, government attempt to take over and institute martial law in the United States.
Right, which will never happen, because there's so many good sheriffs. And, I mean, we talk kind of bleak a lot, but there are so many good sheriffs and so many good police officers and so many good military people.
And there are.
And there are tons of good citizens who are awake or who are easily awakened, who will, when push comes to shove, not allow things to go to what the ultimate end game would be. You know, when the government finally acknowledges, hey, this is what we're planning to do, and they actually come out face value and start actually doing the things without being as sneaky as they've been, and when it can't be covered up anymore.
And ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake, this is exactly what they're heading to do. I mean, I'm sorry, but the writing's on the wall.
When they actually start implementing these things in such a way that it's not just conspiracy theorists and it's not just, you know, preppers who are acknowledging it. When the layperson acknowledges, well, shit, I just saw 15 United Nations SUVs driving down I-80. I just saw 5 black helicopters flying over. Oh, shit, now they're closing off intersections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it starts becoming clear to everyone, and it's undeniable, because that's the point we're waiting for. When it's undeniable, when they can't be like, well, these people are just paranoid. These people are just looking for something. You know, it's the Alex Jones types, you know, running around trying to stir shit up to look important. But when they start seeing the stuff for themselves, they're going to be like, wait, no, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't what my grandparents wanted. This isn't what my parents wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this isn't the America I was born in. This is a totally different place. It's starting to resemble the freaking concentration camps and the cargo trains full of people and the bullet to the brain of the people who don't fucking listen. You know, it's starting to look like a Nazi Germany type equation, and I won't be a part of it. And then when everyone's awake and on the same page, there's still going to be people that are like, well, it's okay. But those people are going to be few and far between.
And they're actually dwindling in number now.
Yes.
And more. You won't hear that on any of the mainstream media crap or anything like that. They're never going to tell you that there's a lot more people.
And after it happens, after the government inserts itself in the way that they want to, and after we battle back and win or lose, those people that were like, oh, it's okay, will be like, yeah, that was totally unnecessary, but I guess it's all right. You know, because they're never going to concede, well, this is what needed to do. But we don't care about those people. At the end of the day, there are some people you're never going to convince of anything. You know, Obama could come to your door with a handgun and shoot your mom in the face right in front of you. And be like, yeah, she was totally anti-government, had to get rid of that bitch. And then leave. And some of these people will be like, well, she was probably a nut. You know? So, I mean, there's some people you can't ever, no matter what, reach. We're going to try to reach as many people as humanly possible. We're going to try to especially impress upon people who are already awake or awakening that the time is now to at least start paying attention. Not saying to run out and get a gun and go kill people. No, none of us are actively advocating an armed revolution or an armed, you know, anything. All we're saying is pay attention, be aware, try your best to get a hold of these people and be like, look, we know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We need you to stop.
And it's not going to stand.
You know, we're going to vote you out. We're going to write letters. We're going to call newspapers. We're going to call radio stations. You know, we're going to show up and picket things. We're going to do whatever we can to stop you. We're going to sue you if we have to. We're going to have you removed by impeachment measurements. Anything we can do, we're willing to go the whole 100%. But we don't want to. But we need you to understand we're paying attention.
Mm-hmm. And they also need to understand that our muscle is the United States military.
Right.
Because that's our sons, our daughters, who are the ones that are there.
These people aren't going to stand
there. And they're not going to stand there and watch you imprison their families and just sit there and simply take orders. Some of them may.
Yeah.
Some of them may.
And they take their oaths seriously.
But a lot of them won't.
Well, the Congress people maybe don't take their oath seriously. The military does take their oath seriously.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to stand on the front line against hostile enemies, have bullets thrown at them, get blown up to defend our Constitution. So you really think that they're going to allow, at the end of the day, they're going to allow the Congress or the President to give them unconstitutional orders that they're going to follow? We are not that country.
Mm-hmm.
These are not
they are definitely not going to turn on the American people, which is why the government's been developing the entire Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security is the government Gestapo. It's the SS of our new administration.
And even that is manned by Americans by and large, and at some point the Americans are going to wake up and be like, nah, I can't be a part of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm standing down.
A lot of them aren't.
Yep.
And then you've got to wonder, it can't be just the paychecks.
Right.
It's got to be out of fear.
Yep.
As, well, we've been on the inside, we know what the government's up to. If we say anything, they're
going to retaliate.
Yeah, we're done. They'll shut us up no matter what.
So, we have the backing. It's a quiet backing.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, when push comes to shove, these people will shove. You know, and it's like the whole speak softly, carry a big stick.
Yeah.
You know, we know that we've got this big stick. We know we've got the United States military. We know we've got good sheriffs, good cops, and good citizens. That all it's going to take is something definitive where they can be like, you know what, enough is enough. This is where I draw the fucking line. You people need to get off our lawn.
Yeah, we've had enough of it.
Yep.
And
they keep wanting to throw people in prison. They keep wanting to detain people. They keep wanting to harass people, to character assassinate people, to just go the extra mile and say, how can we mess with our citizens today? What can we do to make life even more miserable for our citizenry? And at some point, everyone's going to have to step back and say, look, why are we supporting these people? Why are we re-electing these people? Why are we allowing these people to stay elected? You know, why are we allowing them to push these measures forward? And we're not. Eventually we're not. And I believe that's coming so soon.
It is. Whether we're not going to be able to, they're not going to be able to keep it hidden anymore.
Right.
I mean, there's so much more of us out there that are actually pushing it forward and making it known and saying, hey,
you
know, look at what they're doing. And since they pretty much document everything what they're doing for their own posterity.
They bought 1 billion bullets. They bought assault rifles.
Oh, now DHS is coming out and saying, we didn't buy 1 billion bullets.
Oh, didn't you?
Motherfucker, all the paper trail says you did.
Oh, where'd they go? What'd you do, resell them?
You know?
Maybe give them to your cartel buddies?
We built a house.
We built a bullet house.
We built a bullet house.
We made a fence out of bullets, and look here, the toilet's functional, but it's made out of bullets.
We put them in a train set.
Yeah.
We put little heads of broccoli on top of them and call them trees.
You people are stupid. You'll believe this.
Come on, they're fine. They're full of shit, man. They're leading us down the road we're on, and they're pushing it to where it's going to be more.
America is going to be better than it's ever been, stronger than it's ever been, and happier than it's ever been.
Once we restore our government to its constitutional limitations.
You see, I've been thinking,
it's supposed to be.
I've been worrying about it a little bit, and I just did some deep thought about it. And I used to think, well, we're going to have a revolution of some sort, and afterwards things are going to be worse because the people that take over are not going to be the same style. You know, it's not going to be a constitutional government, whatever. But I just thought about it, and I'm like, it's not going to be a revolution in the manner in which revolutions in the past have been fought.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, like we were saying a minute ago, where people who are already part of the system, but are the good folk, say enough is enough, and they oust the people who are bad. Mm-hmm. And things are going to be so much better and so much stronger for a very long time before we ever allow it to get bad again, if we ever allow it to get bad again.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be as much of a revolution as it's going to be a purge. And it's not even going to necessarily be violent, because at some point people are going to be like, look, I'm going to do whatever I legally can do as your colleague, you know, because it's going to be people like Rand Paul and other good people, and it's going to be the military and whatever, and it'll be peaceful. Eventually they'll just be like, look, we're going to remove you from office. What are these people going to do, shoot back?
You know?
You know, if the military came to your office and said, hey, you're not conducting yourself in the manner you were elected to conduct yourself, you are being removed from office, we will replace you with an election.
Yep. You're officially under arrest for crimes of treason against the American people.
Or Pelosi or, you know, whoever these fuckers are, do you suppose they're going to start shooting or whatever? It's not going to be violent. They're going to be whining and moaning and pissing and crying while in handcuffs being led to detainment. And then we'll elect somebody who actually represents the people and actually believes in the Constitution to replace them. And there will be a sense of fear in those who are left, because they'll be like, look here, the American people just established that they are no longer going to take our lies and our abuses.
Yep.
And they didn't have to fire a bullet. If that can happen, I will be the happiest honey badger on earth.
Oh, you're damn right. I'll be screaming from the hilltops.
Because I personally don't want to engage in anything other than legal, positive discourse to change things.
Exactly. And, you know, I being a father, I don't want my children being subject to war and death and struggle like that.
The Civil War was terrible. Brothers were killing brothers, you know.
Exactly.
People were just being massacred. You know,
and we've got to think to ourselves as a people, do we really want that to happen?
Right.
For our children?
What we need to do is just figure out a way to remove these people.
And some people are just like, well, I guess we'll just let government do whatever they want to do. We'll just bend over and take it right up the ass, like a fucking turkey on Thanksgiving. You know?
They'll keep going. You can't allow that, because we've been allowing it, and it keeps getting worse. And the only more worse it can get at this point is concentration camps and mass executions. You know, with a bulldozer grave.
Well, if they don't think that's not coming, it's coming.
Oh, it's coming. And there are people who would be willing to execute that order.
Yeah, that's another thing that frightens me every time we have liberty rallies and Second Amendment rallies and things like that, is I'm waiting for the government.
Writing down the plate numbers?
I'm waiting for the government to just open fire.
Yeah.
To say, oh, somebody did this.
Remember back in Vietnam when there were protesters, and I don't know, I wasn't there. They could have been more hostile or whatever, but they were gunning down protesters at a school. And this is back in the 60s.
Yeah, that was Kent State.
Yeah, Kent State. Our government, our military, were killing college students who I believe were largely unarmed.
They were all unarmed.
And then we've got the Ruby Ridge situation.
They were ordered to retreat. The government, the soldiers were ordered to stand down. And they marched up the hill. And about a dozen of them all of a sudden decided to turn around and open fire.
Yep. And the Ruby Ridge situation, where Randy Weaver
That's just one of the saddest things.
Had
That
to
made
watch
me cry.
his infant child get murdered and his wife get murdered.
Not his infant child. It was his 14-year-old son.
Oh, she was holding the
She was holding the 10-month-old
Okay, so
baby.
his wife got murdered, and his,
When they shot her in the face.
14-year-old son got murdered because he was out in the woods, I think. And
Right after they shot his dog.
They shot his dog, and then he was like, well, why did you shoot my dog? And he was upset. Of course.
He was armed because
they were all armed.
Well, then the dog started barking because the feds were sneaking onto their land.
Right.
You know, and they weren't there to serve the warrant or anything.
Right.
They were just sneaking onto the land to see how far up they could get before they bogged the dogs.
Right.
Basically, they're there to take out the dogs so then they could get up there and storm the gates, you know. That was what the rules of engagement was. The rules of engagement were to fire on any male member of the household, armed or not.
Right.
Take him out. It was ordered shoot to kill.
Yep.
You know.
And then they're back.
So they sneak up on there, and the dog's barking. They come down and shot the dog as the dog's running away because the bullet entered through the dog's back and it came out the shoulder blade, as the forensics, told. And then his boys like, you shot my dog, and opened fire on that.
Right.
Or the 14-year-old, you're damn right. You're on my property. You shot my dog. Fucking right. I'm going to shoot you too.
Yep.
The boy didn't kill anybody.
Yep.
The 4 agents then opened fire, shot the boy in the back. Randy Weaver did a interview for another man who was standing up against the government over taxes, Ed Brown, and he gave this speech about the talk of his son having to go get his body, and they'd blown his heart completely out of his chest. He said little chunks of meat were coming up out of his mouth and his eyes rolled. He just explained it, and he's like, you never get that image out of your head.
No.
When I saw it, I sat there and cried like a baby. I did. That was just so horrible. I couldn't even imagine have that happen to one of my children in front of me. Over what? You know what the whole thing about Randy Weaver was they wanted him to testify against members of the Aryan Nation, a guy that he knew in town that he moved to.
Right.
And but he didn't. So then they brought up this bogus charge about sawed-off shotguns that said he was manufacturing and selling them.
And not a single one of them, from my understanding, I could be wrong, but not a single weapon that he had on his property was illegal or illegally obtained. And the sawed-off shotguns that he had were sawed off to the legal length.
Mm-hmm.
And he had refused requests from undercover operatives, if I'm not mistaken, to both illegally obtain weapons and to illegally saw off weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted him to saw off.
Once he found out that this ATF agent was an ATF agent, he was like, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Right. He didn't kill him or make him disappear.
They sent him a summons to appear in court over this bogus charge.
Yep.
And then they changed the court date once.
Yep.
And, this court-appointed attorney keeps trying to get a hold of him. He doesn't want anything to do with him. He's got his own attorney who's waiting for the case to get all the information about it.
Right.
His attorney finally gets the information, sends him a letter screwing up the court date again. And so Randy Weaver's under the assumption that his court date's at a certain date.
Yep.
The real court date comes along. He doesn't show. Even the judge said then, hey, it had been brought to his attention that he had gotten some mixed up information, but the judge still issued a bench warrant and said that the warrant would be lifted and no charges would be filed if he showed up on, what the mistaken court date was. Before that even happened, that's when they went up to try and storm the gates.
Right, so we got that situation. We got Waco, a bunch of elderly people and children and men and women who were not doing anything wrong. They lived on in a property that the press labeled as a compound, and they were labeled as a cult. Basically,
they were agents, FBI agents, and ATF agents regularly used the Branch Davidian compound firing range.
Yep. And so they were labeled
They let David Koresh load their weapons for them.
They were labeled as a cult. They were labeled as extremists. They were labeled as basically expendable people. And that was another thing for the government to be able to say, well, look what we can do. We can label you as expendable and as someone that can be disposed of. And then we can go in and use incendiary devices. We can use tanks. We can use
they use the entire military
citizens. Military. There's a little black girl that got killed in her bed the other day by military weapons in her police force. They mistook a flashbang for opposing fire and ended up shooting this little 14-year-old black girl in I forget what state. But we've militarized our police. We've got the military going in and doing invasions.
I bet it wasn't even the White House that they went to raid either.
I think it was. I don't know.
No, I've heard about them throwing those incendiary grenades through the windows and it's in the wrong house.
Well, not only that, it kills people. It causes heart attacks. It causes burns on the people. It also causes fires sometimes because of the nature of the device.
Well, that's what they did with Chris Dorner in California, man.
Right.
This fucking... Oh, that pisses me off like no other, dude. I'm telling you, how are you going to sit here and tell me that you're going to throw 7 pyrotechnic, tear gas grenades into a dry little cabin?
Highly flammable.
We didn't intend to set it on fire.
Yeah.
Well, you know what that tells me? Number one, either A, you're a fucking liar, or B, you're just fucking stupid.
Yep.
And neither one's a fucking valid excuse for B, acting as judge, jury, and executioner.
Not for someone who's in control of someone's living or dying.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to storm into someone's property with AR-15s and with maybe with police dogs or with tanks or whatever you've got, if you're going to storm onto someone, you better have some fucking training about the capacity of what you've got, of what you're working with.
Yeah.
You better know your explosives. You better know your weapon.
Or you better just have a little bit of common sense to throw fire into a fucking dry box. Guess what? It's going to fucking burn.
So anyone that thinks our government, and again, it's not our entire government. There's members, like I said, who will stand up against it. But by and large, our government
far between
is capable of doing the unthinkable. To its citizens. So we need to stand up. We need to wake up. We need to act up. We need to say, look, friends, we didn't elect you to control us like kings. We didn't elect you to be unreachable. We didn't elect you to not listen to our concerns. We didn't elect you to tax every movement, throw us in prison for every movement, to make it so that we can't think or speak or act in a free manner, or we can't conduct ourselves in our own home in the way we need to conduct ourselves in our home. We can't have weapons, which it says clearly in the Constitution of the United States. The Supreme Court upheld this, that you can have weapons as a citizen, not just as a member of a militia or military, but as a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not hurting anybody, you need to be left alone. I'm not saying
no victim.
I'm not advocating a completely lawless society. Because we are a society, we have to live together, we have to conform to certain societal norms. But I am advocating that if someone is not harming others, and if someone is choosing to live their life in a manner that makes them happy and works for them, they should be left alone to do as they please. And our government has gotten so far that they not only want to know everything, but they want to control everything.
Yep.
They want to know how you make your money. They want to know where you spend your money. They want to know who you talk to, what you talk to them about, what you do in your house, what you do outside of your house, where you go, where you come from, everything. And yet, if you ask them any questions, they lie, they cover up, they hide everything. It's totally...
So we don't have to tell you that. So that would hurt national security.
Right. It's like trying to get an audience with a king. Anytime you want to talk to any of them, if you don't talk to them in the right manner, if you're maybe a little passionate about your belief, or if you just say something they don't believe in, you're
you're a whack job. You don't know what you're talking about.
Non-persona,
you're misinformed. You don't know.
Exactly.
You mean I didn't believe your lies? Is that what you mean by misinformed?
Exactly.
I'm not falling for your bullshit?
We didn't get our message out, apparently. Well, no, you got your message out. Your message was rejected.
Your message is called a bunch of bullshit.
Yep.
So it's shenanigans, man. We all need to get our broom and take care of these people.
It's like my favorite word, shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
I
call shenanigans.
Oh, good. Why don't you order some takeout from there? Is that the name of the restaurant in Waiting, I think? Love that movie.
Waiting.
Waiting, yeah. And then there's a sequel called Still Waiting. It's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I think I remember that. Well, folks, it's been so great to have the HoneyBadger back here in the studio with us once again, but it is getting pretty late, and I'm sure that we all have other things that we need to get doing. We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Last Voice for Liberty Network. We will be back with more. The HoneyBadger will be back around some more. As we can get more episodes and more time, look for us on other sources of media as well.
We'll post links liberally.
Yep, definitely.
You'll know every movement.
At great length. Check out our partner pages, Alternative Journalism. Check out Liberty Never Sleeps. Check out Conscious Collective and New Generation. Get with our friends Austin and Liberty Lisa on Freedomizer Radio. Check those guys out. We've all got a lot of great points to say. The more we come together and start discussing and getting down to the bottom of what the real problems are, the more solutions we can come up with, and the better we can save our country. HoneyBadger, any parting thoughts?
Okay, well, you guys are exactly where you need to be. You're listening to exactly what you need to be listening to. Make sure when you get done listening to this that you write a letter to a congressman or call a congressman and tell them exactly how you feel and tell them exactly why you feel the way you feel. And don't let them palm you off on some secretary or some assistant or something. Make sure you get to them at least once and try to do it weekly. What the hell? If you've got some time on your hands, like 5-10 minutes, do it weekly.
Call them,
harass them, make sure they answer you directly to what your issue was. Don't let them give you a form letter. If they give you a form letter, re-ask. Be like, no, that was not an appropriate answer. I asked you X, Y, and Z, and you answered A, B, and C. That's just not going to work out.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not stupid.
Don't give me the runaround. Don't fall for their bullshit.
Right. Last Voice for Liberty.
That's right, baby.
Is where you need to be.
That's right. Folks, from the HoneyBadger and myself, the Mouth, we'll see you next time here on The Last Voice for Liberty Network.
When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. The utmost manifestation of love and devotion to America is today, as it always has been, resistance of tyranny.
You do not want to be between Michelle and Tamale.